Oh, you still crook, mate?
No, I'm all right, mate. I'm fine.
That's good. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, how you doing? All right?
Yeah, look, yeah, going okay. No great dramas. Everything's
No,
ticking along nicely. So, yeah,
I've had a bit of a
nothing.
drama. Are you
What do you got?
long Aussie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm short Aussie against the CAD. I had a lovely little setup yesterday,
Oh,
and
okay.
I went short the Aussie versus the CAD, and it's just easing to the upside. I'm hoping we're going to get some resistance fairly soon. Um,
Well, Aussie's at resistance now and on the monthly pivot. Um,
oh yeah, of course you were long versus the dollar, weren't you?
yeah, yeah,
And how's that worked out? Is it in profit now?
yeah. Oh, yeah. We've taken profit already.
Nice,
TP1's been hit, so we're free trading that.
beautiful, mate.
Well, actually, not completely free trading it. I've actually left my stop where it was because I think it needs a bit of breathing space.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's still a little bit of risk attached to it, but more than happy to take that into the next
So,
phase of the trade.
you got any reason that we've got the Aussie surging up today, or the last few?
Oh no, it's only a technical thing. But when I look at the market today, it's a little bit confusing because everything's green. And when I see that, I think, how the heck? What the heck's going on? But I'm definitely seeing strength, and the two strongest currencies from a major point of view are the Aussie and the Kiwi at the moment, without any shadow of a doubt.
Right.
But we've seen in the past 24 hours the pound surge. We've seen euro rally a little bit, but we haven't really seen the dollar come off against the yen or the Swissy, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure what to make of all that. The one thing I am sure about is this may give us an extremely good opportunity to trade the pound crosses short at some stage. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm focused at the moment, is waiting for this potential reversal or hit resistance on the pound pairs and have a good look at those.
Well, she
But
won
it's
the vote.
yeah, look, amazingly, apparently. Well, we spoke about it, and we didn't think that would be the outcome. Well, I didn't think that would be the outcome, and there you go. She's across the
Well,
line.
I mean, I think we yeah, we kind of did touch on the fact that if anybody was going to win it, it would be her. She is
Well, you said
so
that, yes,
resilient.
that's true.
It's astonishing. It really is astonishing. But there is one aspect of this which is quite interesting. There is still disharmony within the Conservative Party, because there was I don't know if you know what the vote turned out to be, but it's basically 200
Yeah,
200
200, 117 or something, wasn't it?
117. Now,
There you
on the
go. Nothing
payroll,
wrong with my memory, mate.
no, there's not. No, on the payroll is effectively the front bench. So the PM has allocated those jobs to the front. The people in the front bench, and of the people that aren't on the payroll in the back bench, there's about 106 MPs, I think, or maybe 130 MPs that aren't on the payroll. Um, Now, I don't know whether we don't know. It's a secret. It's a secret ballot, but a
Can I ask you
politician.
a question? What
Yeah.
does that mean? Aren't on the payroll? That they just turn up for fun?
No, so everybody's voted in. Everybody's voted into Parliament.
Yep.
They campaign and they get voted in. But Theresa May appoints specific jobs, and when she appoints a specific job, then they are on the payroll. So anybody on the front bench, foreign secretaries, home secretaries,
Yep.
education secretaries, all those guys are basically on the payroll. That they are appointed specifically by the PM. So she has shown those guys loyalty, and she's showing confidence in their abilities. So, given
The inner
that,
sanctum.
the inner sanctum, yeah, and when you think about that aspect, you would expect those people to vote with their boss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's about 160 that aren't on the payroll. So there's 160 kind of backbenchers that haven't been appointed to specific jobs by the PM. You know, they just are MPs that were voted in. They're part of the Conservative Party. So 117 of those that were almost, you know, the ones that don't get paid by her voted against her. So there's only about 20 that voted for her. So the argument is, and this is not my argument, it's an argument that one of the politicians made, but the argument is that those that were on the payroll should have voted for the Prime Minister because they, you know, she's their boss.
Yeah,
But the ones
down,
that
basically.
right, but the ones that aren't on the payroll voted against her. And there is a large number of those that voted against her that aren't on the payroll. So the question is, you know, are those a better reflection of what's really going on in the Conservative Party because they don't have an axe to grind?
Okay, does it matter at the end of the day? I mean, she's now, I don't know when the elections are, but she now can't be challenged for 12 months.
For a year. That's right. But what does matter is that the members of Parliament that brought this this motion in the first place are not accepting the fact that that she won the vote. You know, because their argument is that she didn't win the vote because you know, she hasn't won the vote with the MPs that should be voting. That had a free vote. You know, the ones that aren't on the payroll. There's a huge number that didn't vote against her. So it's a bit like the Brexit argument. You know, do you accept it or not? And there is
I'm rolling around on the floor almost. I mean, this is laughable. I mean, she's won, but
yeah,
she hasn't won. Hello.
Well, she won. She's won, but you remember I was telling you about this guy, Jacob Rees-Mogg? Jacob Rees-Mogg is the parliamentarian who would have started this process, and he started it in Bali. Don't know if you remember in Bali, but he was the one who suggested it in Bali when we were in Bali. But then it didn't come to anything. So it's taken you know, another month for him to have enough MPs that would support the fact that he was, you know, he was going to not stage a leadership challenge, but challenge the leader for her power, and then somebody else would go into power. Now it's him who's come out and said, well, this isn't a great result for the PM, and what she should be doing is going to the Queen and handing in her resignation. So I think that's pretty damning. You know, the fact that he's come out and said that shows that that there is just a lack of acceptance in her victory, and that shouldn't be the case. You know, at this stage, just like the Brexiteers want the Remainers to get behind Brexit, the people that lost that vote in Parliament against the Prime Minister should now be getting behind the PM because she's won.
Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. Exactly right.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So yeah, interesting, you know, because really we thought that there would be some MPs kind of coming out and using the argument she should be out if the vote was more like 55% in her favour, because that would be similar numbers to the EU. We thought there would be some disharmony then, but the fact that she's won by well, what is that? What would that be? It's about 66% of the vote she's won.
Yeah, probably around about 60-ish. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and that's a you know, that's a fairly decent swing. That's a fairly decent number in her favour. You know, I do feel incredibly sorry for Theresa May, and I have to say, everything that's kind of that's happened here with the PM has probably garnered more support in the country for her than anything else. And I think we find this in the UK. We don't particularly like winners very much. You know, we're quite happy to bash winners down. You know, very different to the United States. In the United States,
the Aussies got it from you bastards.
Oh right, yeah.
We're definitely tall poppy syndrome people.
Yes, we are.
The states are entirely the opposite.
Yes, but you know what? One thing we love is an underdog. Yeah. We love an underdog.
Yeah,
and because you know, and underdogs that come through, we love even more. And this is the thing with Theresa May; she has become almost the stereotypical underdog that just does not give up. You know, she's just kind of like, I guess a little bit like Winston Churchill. You know, Winston Churchill was a huge underdog. He was pretty unpopular in Parliament when he took power, but he ended up being the winner, and he's ended up lauding as one of the most successful politicians of our history. And I think Theresa May at this stage is managing to kind of garner the same support. Now, what's significant about that is that no matter what happens with the negotiations with Brexit, I suspect more people are likely to support her, even the Remainers, than go against her, just because now it's becoming more like a personality competition. So,
That's interesting. So there's a chance that she'll get this through now, whereas 24 hours ago there probably wasn't.
Absolutely, I think there's a chance that she would even with the deal she's got, because there's obviously all this confusion with what the deal is for the British people. I think even with the deal she's got within the British people, I think the British people would probably be quite likely to support the deal, not really understanding it, but more significantly, they're actually supporting Theresa May because they, as I say, they're the British love the underdog, and they love the underdog that wins, and is tenacious and doesn't give up. And as I say, that's what she's embodied. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that that her supports, her approval rating has probably rocketed fairly significantly from this point. And the reason I bring this up is because we're talking about the pound. How does this?
Let's bring that back to a trading situation. How do we deal with this?
Well, I personally, I think trading against the pound would be a dangerous move at this stage. I'm going to show you my chart, and obviously tap me on the shoulder if you've got anything that you want to trade or you want to look at specifically.
But I'm happy where I'm at the moment. So yeah, all good.
Okay, mate. Well, in fact, you've got the same chart as I've got up. So this is the chart that I'm looking at here. Sorry, this one here. Same chart as I've got up. Inverted head and shoulders.
Yep.
So we've got a technical pattern going on here. Let's just make sure that we've got levels as well. Looks like we could be heading up to this point here. Let's check this on the dailies as well. Dailies would suggest that we're fairly close to a resistant line. I mean, there's a lot of levels on this particular chart to consider it, and this is one of them is where we currently sit. Now the question is, from this point, what's the fundamental and what's the technical picture on this? And the technical picture obviously is that we've got a retest, and the only way that I would trade the pound from here is if I saw a day of weakness, because I'd like to see what happens with the filtering of the news. How people in the markets, how the city effectively reads this specific vote. Because we said yesterday the pound is oversold and the pound could bungee from this point and start to take off to the upside, but it's the fundamentals and the geopolitics which are really going to kind of move the pound. Now this was the reaction. Yesterday was I thought it was a fascinating day with the pound. We had that vote of no confidence bill effectively, passed through to the 1922 committee, and the pound started to move to the upside. Now the pound was the best performer yesterday. When you look across the board against the dollar, the pound pretty much outperformed everything. And I thought that was pretty fascinating because the dollar was fairly weak yesterday. The CPI data that came out a little bit tepid, and there was another story. And the other story was about the pound. It was about the PM. And as I said to you initially, when Theresa May's vote of no confidence came in, the city seemed to quite like it, and the pound sold off. But what I saw was the pound started to move up. Now, just like you guys, we've got something called Prime Minister's Questions. And what I noticed was that during Prime Minister's Questions, the PM put in a pretty stellar performance. I was watching PMQs yesterday, and she put in a really good performance. And the pound continued to rally to the upside. Now, Theresa May has managed to win this vote of no confidence. We start to see the pound push to the downside, bottom out here, give us this inverted head and shoulders, give us a potential shell shelf as well on a horizontal level. Now I'm going to check how significant this level is, but certainly on the hourly chart we got a horizontal level here, and so I'm going to check how significant it is. It doesn't seem to have any other significance, but on the hourly, so check on the 4 hourly. Well, the 4 hourly is probably cleaner. So we got this shelf here now. To my mind, unless we take out this yellow area, then the move to the downside in the pound would be fairly dangerous, because we have just created a higher high, and I think this could genuinely be a decent higher low down here. So so my personal thought is that that the pound for today, intraday at least, would be a long trade, and we'd be potentially looking up to somewhere around this area. We may be waiting for something else to push us through that to that point, but as I say, to my mind, I think the pound has probably shown enough resilience, and quite like the city seems to quite like the fact that Theresa May has managed to win that vote of no confidence. Now she wants to go back and renegotiate with the EU, and I think that's probably going to be, or she wants assurances from the EU. It's not renegotiation. She wants some assurances from the EU, and that may well be what needs to happen to get us through. But I would quite like to see what happens with the pound today. But dipping down to this area, I think that we should be looking for buying opportunities. So around about 1.2616, we should be looking for buying opportunities. If we kind of delve into that a little bit further, maybe it's not even that low. Could even be somewhere around this point. If we look at a 15-minute chart, looks like this is a pretty nice area as well. So maybe around about the 26 area, I think that there could well be some upside from the pound.
How interesting. You've kind of got me thinking. I don't know if you've changed my mind, but you've kind of got me thinking. See, the way I think is, and I know there are extenuating circumstances, but it's still a perhaps. It's a perhaps that they'll now get behind her. It's not a given. So I go back to, let's go 36 hours back, or even 48 hours back, where there was no chance she was going to get this bill through Parliament, or if you call it a bill, whatever you want to call it, an agreement through Parliament. And she survived a no confidence vote. Now, without the no confidence vote, what really has changed? And I come back to, well, nothing's changed, because she was still the Prime Minister 2 days ago. She was the Prime Minister 2 days. She's still the Prime Minister today. And the only thing that's changed is that she's, again, as you say, proven her resilience and shrugged off, again, another challenge to her leadership. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I still can't get with a strong pound at the moment. I just can't.
Well, so, how about this, mate? How about the perception with her winning potentially could increase, because there's a deal, right? There's a deal on the table. The problem with the deal was that she couldn't put it through Parliament because she thought it was going to get voted down, and it probably would have got voted down.
Yep.
But now she's got a vote of confidence. Now, what that suggests is that with a little bit of tweaking, with maybe some of the rhetoric in language, she could get that that deal through Parliament. Parliament is her own party has said to her, "We support you." Now, I've heard some politicians say, "I support the Prime Minister, but she's got to change her stance on Brexit." So the question really comes in now: does that start to calm down? Is the perception now, because she's won, the deal wins? Because that is now all we are waiting for. The closer we get to certainty, and the closer we get to the potential deal, the more likely the pound is to rally, no matter what the deal is. It doesn't have to rally right the way back up to its highs again, but it could start to rally. It's at a pretty low base here. So with her winning that vote, does that not have the potential to suggest that she could then win the deal? And if she can win the deal, then the pound rallies. So I don't see from this point how we could come away with the other thing, that the deal is dead. This surely increases the chance that the deal is on.
Yeah. Look, I see your point. I totally see your point. But to me, really, nothing has changed, and I'm still going to react off a resistance level here. I'm going to look for short. So
Well, I mean,
one of us is going to be.
so my
both of us can be
caveat.
right here.
My caveat is this. My caveat is that just as I say, if anybody's going to win anything, it'd be Theresa May with all the.
She's won you over, hasn't she? With her resilience.
No, with an army against her, she is incredibly resilient. And my other caveat is, if anybody can pick the contrarian side of the market, it will be you. So I won't be going. I won't be going into the pound with complete confidence necessarily.
And I think that's our point, isn't it? Our point is this: there are two ways to look at this. So there's nothing as surety here. I think we're still in the land of mystery.
We are. I mean, does this mean as well that or could this potentially mean that this is a timing thing, and we're a day after that no confidence vote? We've just basically had some good news from the pound, so today would suggest that there should be some upside. But if we are looking for downside in the pound, and this is really what I was talking about, for me to look for downside in the pound, I'd want to see the perception of the confidence be sold off again. So to my mind, we're looking for upside for the day. But if there's some downside, my belief is that the downside has to be manifested today, and then we look tomorrow or potentially next week, because a prime minister winning a no confidence vote, giving us certainty because she lasts at least another year, so that means that she will be the negotiator for this Brexit deal, would manifest in some sterling buying.
Dollar selling at the moment is helping that cause. I don't know why we're seeing dollar selling coming into the session, but that's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah, but then look at this as well. I mean, this is I think this is quite interesting. This is the euro. Again, this is a distribution pattern, pretty scruffy one, but that is a head and shoulders pattern going on here. This is the euro pound.
Oh, I'm going to say that can't be the euro.
Yeah. That's the euro pound. So the euro pound is also suggesting that we get some lower levels here. I'd say this is a tradable opportunity as well. We've just managed to get through and under the daily pivot on this particular chart here. When we look here, selling off into the open. We've got a few minutes left here, but we're selling off into the open. And actually, I've just seen that there was a setup on this for some downside. So I think some euro pound short could be also another potential option. Now I need to check this on a longer term time frame.
Wow, what a difference a day makes, eh?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. This looks good. This looks really good. Yeah, this looks really good for some downside. If this pops up again, this would be my chart of choice. Actually, I prefer the euro pound short than the dollar pound short. But I do like this euro GBP short. If this pops up to this level, then I'll probably be taking this one on.
Gee, I think I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines today. You're talking me out of everything.
Do you know why I like this one? Is that when I look at this on a 4-hour chart here, and the 4-hour chart has given us a setup along here.
Yep.
It's giving us that lower high, so nice place to look for a trade, nice seller's bar. And then when I flip to a 15 on this one, the 15 has also given me a setup when I look along here. Another lower high. So I've got a short term and a long term. The only problem is that the trade probably has gone for the best potential setup. So now it's going to be about price. Can price get back into this area? And if it can, I'm going to trade it. But if not, then I'm going to have to leave it. But this looks pretty good to me. Yeah,
it's come off the DP already, hasn't it?
It's come off that DP. It's given us that lower high on the short-term time frames and on the long-term time frame as well. So I think there is some really good potential for this one to move.
Yeah, I think there's still a chance that that there'll be an opportunity with a lower high on the bigger time frames. So yeah, gee whiz, things have changed.
Mm.
Things have changed
You see,
dramatically.
do you know what the other thing about this is that yeah, we're seeing it right across the board, actually. You know, again, you know, coming back to the pound again against the Aussie, inverted head and shoulders. So we're starting to see these accumulation and distribution patterns, inverted head and shoulders on the CAD. You know, there's a lot out there. I think the pound is the big mover today, and I think the pound is a big mover to the upside. Another little inverted head and shoulders. Some of these are fairly scruffy, but they do exist.
Yeah, I'm seeing them, absolutely. I'm looking at my own charts, and they're there, no
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
In particular, as you pound Aussie is very, very evident as well. That's a pretty good
Yeah.
one, actually, pound Aussie.
Do you know what I like? I like the euro as well, because we've got this this issue in Italy. Are you aware of that? We've got
Yeah.
negotiations. Yeah. So you know, because of that, I think that would probably help that particular trade out. As you say, you know, it's interesting. We've seen the dollar pop to the downside, and against right across the board. And you know, another inverted head and shoulders on the 4 hour on the dollar. So right across the board, there's opportunities here, and I think, as I say, I'm a bit gutted because we've missed a good opportunity there. I think that was just before. Yeah, that was just before. Did you know what, the 7 o'clock time, and I'm wondering whether I need to get in front of my charts about half an hour earlier. This is going to be difficult for me at this stage,
Well,
but
that's when Brussels opens, isn't it?
yes, yes,
So
it
Europe
is, and
actually comes in at that time.
yeah, and when we consider the euro pound, this setup bar, which was there, was just when just when Brussels opened.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's. I'm just gonna hope that there's one more opportunity here to get in
Yeah.
short.
So if that's repeated into London, there's going to be very, very little hope of getting in.
Yeah,
But yeah, maybe the London traders will say, well, don't know. We'll see.
give us a chance.
Look, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced in direction. In fact, I'm more now confused than I was. In fact, I wasn't confused. I had a very clear mind coming into today,
Yeah,
and that's kind of changed a bit through our conversation.
yeah.
You're not even mentioning the FTSE. Why? You've still packed up. You're not going back on that. You're packed up on the FTSE.
No. Do you know the thing about the FTSE? The interesting thing about the FTSE, I mean, the FTSE isn't the story. You know, it is about the pound. The
Yep.
interesting thing about the FTSE 100 is that that the opportunities again have subsided at this particular point, because we've got looking at this on a daily chart. There is it's, to my mind, there's some intraday upside. There's still some intraday upside. I think we can push into this area without too many problems. So there's still some room here to the upside. We need to take out these levels. This bar is a little bit concerning. You know, yesterday's bar is a little bit concerning. The areas of resistance are fairly multiple here as well, so they're a little bit concerning. When that gap is closed, do we then start to move to the downside? Yes, I am much more upside centric, if you like. I'll be much more interested in the upside. I think we've started some fairly good trends now on the FTSE 100, and that is manifesting itself into the charts. But there's just a little bit, maybe a little bit of divergence here as well. So yeah, there are opportunities. I think to my mind, I am in that situation where I've kind of made money this month on this market, and I don't want to get caught in anything dangerous. What I prefer, and this is why I've kind of stopped trading this long at this stage. What I prefer is to see the markets continue to push forward and stall here, and then give me signs and signals of a short-term downtrend that could actually turn into something a lot more long-term. The difficulty with the FTSE is that it can really ignore some of the, you know, when it's on, and if there's a rally in the market, the rally can just continue, beyond where you would expect it to stall and stop initially. We've had 3 days of upside. This is the 4th day. I think we probably continue to the upside, and this upside could actually take us right up to this point, right up here. Before we then start to see something different. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see this area taken out and this area taken out as well. But I'm still a little bit concerned. I'm in the same camp as you when I think about what's driving the FTSE, what could potentially drive the FTSE. I'm in the same camp as you. I still think that this trade war needs to clear out. There seems to be an easing of the rhetoric in that right now, so it probably will continue to ease forward. But it's not over by any stretch. So we do want the shorts, and at this particular point, we are at a high rather than at a low. On a daily chart, we're at a potential high level here rather than a low. So looking for shorts wouldn't be a bad opportunity potentially, but when we look at these on the short-term time frames, this is in a fairly strong trend to the upside. So the only time I can go short is if I see that area taken out. That's the first point of call for me. If I see that area taken out and then retested, then I can go short. But going long at this stage would be just a little bit would make me a little bit nervous about following the trade.
Okay. Should I look at some currencies, mate?
Yes, that'd be great, mate.
All right. We'll start with the one that we've got going, and that's the Aussie. Share, please. Okay, there we go. So we got into the Aussie here on 4-hour chart. Actually, we got into the Aussie at this level, which was not a great level because we only had a short distance to the monthly pivot, and that's where we had to take profit. There's just no way we can trade through that without taking profit on my strategy. It was a struggle, I've got to say, to get to TP1, but finally we have. And this area that I flagged acted pretty much exactly as I anticipated it would. Now, I said this was a great area to find a trade, and if we can find clear air here, I still think that's the case, and we can get a good run, maybe even up to 74-ish to the top of this channel. And if that's the case, we'll be in pretty good position. I don't know that I want to trade through there, but I think I will leave something open, because if we can get to that level, there's plenty of space up here. There's tons of room. So if we can get to that level, I think I will leave something open and trail from there. On the shorter time frames today, if you're not in this long at the moment, I think there's probably not a great opportunity. I see that the daily pivot's been hammered already today, so I don't see that as an opportunity. I see that we've had closes above the monthly pivot, so that's a pretty bullish sign. Yes, there's probably going to be some resistance here, but the fact that we've been able to close above it, that means there are buyers in the area, and they've taken out more significantly for mine these highs through here. So this is a pretty bullish sign for the Aussie, and a retest here may be worth a scale in. I won't say I'm going to do that because I'm tempted to, though. I think that's a really good sign that we've taken these highs out over here, and the monthly pivot's gone in terms of the last couple of candles. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the position, and I'm not going to change anything, but I will be looking for a potential scale in at some stage. That's the Aussie. Aussie yen. I've actually got a short order on this based on this bar here. I'm going to leave it there, and this should be pretty obvious, but if it's not obvious, then what I'm trading here is a re-entry back into the range. and a lower high. Now that lower high has been taken out, which is kind of disturbing. But if I was to see another lower high here, then probably there's consideration in moving the entry to that candle. But I'm happy where it is at the moment. I still like the candle, so I'll leave that as is. And if you want to follow that, the entry's at 81.57 with a stop loss of 49 pips. So just trading that bar basically as a nice lower high and reversal off both the weekly and the monthly pivot. Again, if we get another signal up here that we're putting in a lower high, then the entry could well change. It's going to be a little bit messy because we'll be trading straight into these pivots from the high side, which won't please me, but we'll monitor that and follow it. So that's going to happen potentially on the 4-hour chart, potentially on the hourly chart. Again, the signals here are bullish because we have broken above and closed above for the second time the monthly and weekly pivot. So that's a bullish sign. But again, if I see a lower high up here somewhere, I'll look to trade that. Now I've actually got dollar yen lined up as well because I did have an order on this short as a false break of not only the trend line here, but also the pivots. So I've got the monthly, I've got the daily, we've broken them, we've come back below them, and we've retested them. So that's an automatic entry for me on 99 times out of 100. But again, similar to what I've just described on Aussie yen, we've taken out the highs here. We've gone back through the pivots and closed very strongly above them. There's no reason to think we won't be challenging these highs. But then we put in this candle. And I actually don't mind trading a spinny top at this level as a lower high. And I would have traded this, except that look at the support that I'm trading straight into. So this has got a little bit messy now, and I've actually cancelled that order, and I can't trade that candle short. Whereas in different circumstances, if the pivots weren't there, I would trade that short. But no, not at this point. So I'm looking for a significant lower high. That's going to take a lot of time on the 4-hour charts to maybe come back, hit the daily pivot, then crawl over here. So I'm probably talking even, if not tomorrow, Monday. So I think I'll leave dollar yen alone for now and move on to pound Aussie. Pound Aussie, again, was one of the crosses that I was absolutely keen to find a short on. And if I do see a significant lower high here, then that's exactly what I will seek to do. These candles don't do anything for me at all, except to say that, okay, we've got a bullish engulfing bar here that's falling precisely in to the other category, and that is the long category. For me to trade this long, I'm trying to envisage what I need to see for me to trade this long. And I suppose I just follow my rules, and my rules are if I see a reversal pattern, have I got a reversal pattern? Double bottom, triple bottom, maybe I have. And then the bullish engulfing bar. What I would now look for is a higher low based on this low. So if I do see that purely on a technical basis, there's absolutely no reason why I can't trade it. So that's the daily chart I'm looking at. Let's go to the 4-hour chart and see if that's at all possible. And what do I see? I see exactly that off the daily pivot. Wow. That's going to be tough not to trade. But look at this one. Wow, this is not easy. You've got a reversal bar here. You've got another reversal bar here. So a tweezer top, if you like, sitting on the weekly pivot. If the daily pivot wasn't there, you'd be all over that as a short. Now we've got a higher low with a reversal bar on the daily pivot. Is this worth a trade to the weekly pivot? Is the question. 61 pips, almost 1-to-1. So that's the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at that in 107.34 minutes time. And if it looks like that, then I think there is potential to take that trade. How about the shorter time frames? Well, big bullish engulfing bar. I wouldn't be trading that because I don't trade bullish engulfing bars, but I use them as sighters, if you like. So I'd be looking for, again, a higher low sitting here. In particular, if we came back and failed at the daily pivot and got a nice reversal bar, then I would get interested. So that's interesting. Pound Aussie, I hadn't even considered longs here today on these pound crosses, but now they're setting up, as Asher said, they are setting up technically as well as maybe there is a big momentum shift here. Maybe there is. Pound yen, well, bullish engulfing bar. I don't really have a significant higher low, so I'd be looking for a daily pivot test here. Can I trade that? Well, I can always have a look at trading it. Let me see if the 30-minute chart is going to play ball. The only way I could play that is probably as a false break of this sneaky little trend line coming through here. So I need to see price consolidate, get underneath here, retest it from below. Then I could take a short to the daily pivot and look for the bounce there. So that mightn't be such a bad idea. Let's see how that pans out. Euro pound, look, I don't normally go through all these crosses, but I think there's absolutely a plethora of opportunity in the market at the moment because the market is moving. There's no two ways about that. And now's the time that you need to be looking for trades. And so I am. Euro pound, do I see a reversal here? It's a loose double top, I suppose. And pardon me, that bounce that we were talking about earlier off the daily pivot. And I did think there was an opportunity for this to go a little bit higher, then put in a more significant lower high. What do I mean by that? More significant lower high? Well, what I like to see, and I wish I had a pen here so I could actually describe it to you. What I like to see is not an instant reaction to a move. I like to see something that ambles along, then puts in a swing, not necessarily just a lower high, but a swing, a lower swing. Once I see that lower swing, or the potential for that to be a lower swing, that's the time for me to look at shorts. So I'm not keen to go short right now. I'd much rather see this just amble along a little bit further, then put in
I
a
am going to
lower
get
high.
into this trade, mate.
Go, mate.
I'm going to take this trade in the pound.
Where you
go? No, I do want to wait for a slightly better price here, but let me just see. Didn't really want to trade the break of the low of that bar, but if I can come up just a little bit here, I'm going to take 2 on so I can manage it.
But I'll just be out of the room for a sec while you're placing that.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Okay. Get to ones here. It's been nicely tested. Maybe that's what we get. Okay. So I'm taking that trade now. I'm gonna put my stops up at this level up here. So it's a 25 pip stop, which I'm just going to drag up. And in fact, let me show you this. So anybody who wants to get into that trade, you've probably just seen the levels there. I'll mark them on this chart for you just so I can manage it on the other one. So that the level that I got in at was at spot 908. Now my stop is going to be up at this level. So I've got around about a 25 pip stop here. So I'm going to go spot 9025 is the stop area, and we will see what we go. So the daily pivot is just a little bit beyond up here. So I've daily pivots at this point. If we break and close above the daily pivot, I've still got a chance to take it off. If the market just decides to turn around, then I will take it off at that point. But if we don't, then if I don't get the opportunity, then that's my fail safe at that particular point there. So we are short And I'm going to just fix this up on this front here. 09 entry effectively 0.9,000 and stop is 0.9028. 9028. There we go.
Sorry, mate, can you repeat that? What do we got?
Yes, sure. Let me bring it back on this screen here. So we got the entry is
What was the cross? Pound?
pound euro pound.
Euro pound, yep.
Yeah, we're going for a euro pound short, and we are 0.9,000, let's call it, and the stop is 0.928. It's about a 28 pip stop. Now the target on this one, I've got to do it on a different screen, but I will bring it back into this one. The target is going to be off a 4-hour chart, and I'm going to look for these lows here. Now I'm in complete agreement with you that that nothing has really changed. So I'm going to consider doing a TP all effectively down at this level down here. In fact, let me leave that there. So this is at 28. Yeah, I'll consider if we do manage to break down here, doing a take profit all around about this level here. But I'm going to look for this this lower trend line. So I'm looking for around about just about 2 and a bit to 1, maybe 2.5 to 1 on the trade. And as I say, I'll consider taking the whole thing off down here. So the target is 0.8925. That's the idea down there, 0.8925. I don't think, when I checked news, that there was anything in the way of this. So if this is going to continue off the back of the data from not the data, sorry, the vote we had yesterday, then there shouldn't be too much in the way. We got some Swissy main refinancing rate.
We've got the ECB press conference, of course.
ECB press conference, interesting as well. So let's hope that we get out the way before that ECB press conference comes to play. It may well be a timing thing. You know, if this market continues to ease lower, we got a few hours before that ECB press conference. So if the market continues to ease lower, then then we can check it. Now, there's always an option that if we've got enough profit in the bank, then we can leave the trade on the table. We can leave half the trade on the table and see if that press conference pushes us even further through.
Maybe tighten your stops or something.
And maybe tighten the stops, on the second half. But let's see if we can get half off by the time that press conference comes. But this looks like a pretty sensible level to me. I will just double check that level on some longer term time frames. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? The level looks like a decent area of support. So I would suspect unlikely to go through this without a decent catalyst. So let's consider what we're going to do at that particular point. We'll see if it comes down here. We'll see what where we're at in the time of day and where we're at with the profit line. You know, at that point, if it's a decent profit, then maybe we close it out altogether. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Looks like that sequence is over. When I look at that chart, it's like a big
Which
W,
sequence?
isn't it?
Oh, this one here?
Mm-hmm.
The inverted head and shoulders here? Yeah, possibly. I mean, actually, do you know what? I hadn't really even seen that. So let's do a quick measurement on the inverted head and shoulders and see where that would have taken us to. It's a scruffy one, isn't it? It's difficult to know exactly how to measure this, but I suspect it's something like that. Yeah, it looks like we've seen the inverted head and shoulders play out.
I think so.
Yeah, so it looks like we could start to ease back to this area here, but you know, this is all going to be about how, as I say, how does the city perceive what we've had last night? Now, certainly the overnight move in the pound was for, you know, it 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 was a bit of confidence. And I suppose what I'm looking at here is not necessarily that that there is confidence in the pound, so that's why it's going to rally. What I'm looking at is to see if some of the shorts will get out the way just until we get the next thing come up. You know, we just had a winning battle, if you like, for the pound. It's just won a small battle, and I'm just looking to see if the shorts will get out the way until the next battle is on the horizon. Because as I say, I agree with you. Nothing's really changed. It's just that maybe we've just got a little bit of relief, and actually what could potentially happen is it becomes a selling opportunity or a buying opportunity if you're looking at euro pound, if you're a selling opportunity if you're looking for shorts in the pound, if the pound can just strengthen just for the day.
You know, I think it goes back to and we've been saying this for weeks, or certainly I've been saying this for weeks. If you're prepared to trade this technically,
yeah,
you can get rewards, and you're trading a technical setup there as much as anything else. So,
yes,
you know,
yes, absolutely.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
I'm hoping that everybody understood why the trade was taken. You know, it's a 4-hour head and shoulders pan, as scruffy as it is, left shoulder, and there's the right shoulder there. So I'm trying to trade that right shoulder, and there's a 15-minute entry off the lower high. So that's why there's the entry was there. Just there. Yeah, so that's why the trade is in the market. Now, obviously, this area down here is potentially going to be a bit sticky, and again, you know, that's going to be down to whether we look for a take profit area. Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, whether we look for a take profit area down here, or we let it run. But it looks like there's some nice bearish momentum here right now, mate.
Certainly does, absolutely. Yet, if you have a look at the euro's going gangbusters against the dollar. You know, so there's real dollar weakness here.
Yeah, maybe I chose the wrong pair. The only thing was that I wasn't going to be able to get the technical pattern with the dollar that I needed. But yeah, maybe I'm looking at the wrong pair.
No, I think you got the right pair. Absolutely got the right pair. Because you know, if they're both rallying against the dollar,
yeah,
it's a sure sign that the euro is weaker than the pound.
If they're both rallying against the dollar,
and they are.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wish I could have got the pound dollar. That would have been better, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, like it's coming to resistance, I suppose. The euro,
yeah,
I suppose the euro.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because the pound,
it is.
The pound dollar was is probably a better market because of how weak the dollar is. But the problem is the you know, when I look at this pound dollar, the opportunity was down. You know, what I've managed to do is pretty much pick up the pound euro on a right shoulder, but the pound dollar, by the time you know, we'd sat down at our charts, we were here already. So we're heading right into resistance there.
Yeah, I wonder why we're seeing dollar weakness. I'm just trying to get my handle on that at the moment.
It's a difficult one. The only thing I can think, so China said to plan more US soybean purchases as soon as today. So there's even more easing of the trade war rhetoric coming out of China. But there is still there are still aspects that are in the market to do with the US that maybe we're not as a party to, because we've been focusing so much on this Brexit, you know, vote.
Yeah, well, there's the point. It's hard not to, though, isn't it? At the end of the
day,
and I think during some of the shows that we've been doing this week, I wish we couldn't. If we could just not mention Brexit, it would be awesome. But how can you do that? It's not possible.
Yeah. I mean, is it possible that we've just seen a reaction to yesterday's news, yesterday's data?
The dollar data.
Yeah. Because it wasn't particularly good, was it?
Well, it was flat.
It was flat. Yeah. I mean, you know, we're heading for this potential for a December rate hike, and that's just looking less and less likely. When as let me bring it up from yesterday. As this number kind of comes in and it's flat, that doesn't really promote that descent of rate high.
Yeah, you've just answered the question. That's
Yeah.
that's that's the potential answer, isn't it? We're looking at well, I don't know where we're at, but last time I looked, it was around about 60%. Yes, we're
Yeah.
going with another hike, and
Yeah.
40%. No, we're not. I don't know what the latest one is, but yeah, maybe that's exactly what we're looking at the moment. That the
Yeah.
market's pricing in no interest rate rise,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
So
cool. I hope that continues to be the case because that looks good then for my Aussie trade.
absolutely, mate. Yeah. Well, I've been taken out of my my Aussie CAD for a short. I've now been stopped out of that, which is maybe a little irritating because I don't know. And I'll show you what I was looking at with this Aussie CAD. My Aussie CAD was a longer term trade here. Now, obviously, this bar is very bullish, but I was looking again at a left shoulder ahead. My only question when I entered this was that it was maybe a little bit early because this right shoulder hasn't formed. But I got a high test bar and a doji bar, so I was kind of looking for this one to potentially break down. There are obviously shorter term timeframes where I got my entry from, which also were looking a little bit weak, but I quite like this as a fairly clean pattern for that head and shoulders. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
with a
right.
left shoulder, you know, it looked pretty good. But as I say, maybe it was a little bit early. Maybe there needs to be a little bit more picture forming here and a little bit more picture drawn before we can genuinely look for the shorts in this.
I think the one thing going for against you there is what oil's doing. Oil looks like it's going to tumble again.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's not
yeah.
looking fantastic at all.
No, it just hasn't been able to catch any kind of bid whatsoever, is it? I mean, it looked like it may when it started to take out this area here. Looked like we might have just had the first higher low that we've seen.
Well, that
Um,
was on the back of the OPEC thing. See,
yep, yep,
OPEC said we're going to cut production. What's the first thing you
yep,
think? Hey, price is going to go up.
yes,
What's the
absolutely.
last thing we've seen? Prices not going up at all. In fact,
No,
it looks like it's going to take these lows. You know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is I think the picture that we were talking about before the month ended, that if it wasn't able to get back up here, and it hardly even tried actually, but if it wasn't able to get back up here last month, when we were looking at the end of last month, if it wasn't able to get back and sneak into this level here or somewhere along this level, then then the picture for oil was going to be very, very difficult. And actually, look what it's done. I didn't even notice this, but the resistance level has come in just at the point it needed to get
Hang
back
on.
above last month. So now it's below that area. It's certainly starting to look fairly negative for oil, not able to get above. But that is the significant point. And when we look on these shorter term time frames on the daily, really clean. You know, and this has been a very, very clean chart over the last 6 months, really. You know, the latter end of the year, really nice cyclicity here, really good. You know, some bear flags breakdown, bear flag breakdown, shaded. You know, a little bit more questionable, but that looks like a bear flag just about, and it breaks
Mm-hmm.
down. And at
No
this
way
point,
in
we
for the
kind of see.
next little bit, but
Yeah. Well, that just waterfall then, didn't it? But not able to get above. Then respecting this particular level that we just seen on the monthly chart, respecting it again and refusing it. So a breakdown here, and I don't know where we could end up. I mean, I haven't hardly really looked, but it looks like this is the next potential level down here, doesn't it?
that's a very strong slingshot signal. Very strong.
Oh,
Very.
really? What
Yeah.
suggesting what?
Suggesting bear.
Yeah.
Short. Mm. And then you have a look at if you can see my chart there. I think as you can when I talk, I think the chart flashes up. Throw in the pivots into that equation and look what's happening. You know, the
Oh,
pivots are
let
just
me bring your chart up. Yeah.
the pivots are holding it up big time, and it's just impossible for it to get above them at the moment. The weekly pivots just got this completely bluffed, and now the daily pivot as well. Gee whiz, this looks so bearish to me. It's crazy.
Yeah. 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 In fact,
So yeah,
do you know what, mate?
and of course the CAD's correlated to that. in a fairly substantial manner, and that's why it's pretty tough for me to be thinking at the moment that the CAD's going to rally.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just quickly show you a chart. See what you make of it. I just want to show you the Aussie CAD and see what your reading of it would have been. You know.
Okay. The Swissy hasn't moved their interest rates as expected. So.
Okay. Aussie CAD. Yeah. So let's talk about the reading of this and tell me what your reading of this would have been yesterday. So I was looking at this for a short, as I said. You know, it's not the best chart to look at initially, but we need to use that chart eventually. So let's do this.
Just while you're looking at that, I can still see a short on the Aussie CAD.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this is still the right shoulder, and as I say, it might be a bit too early now, but I need to plug that in. So this is what forget this bar obviously. So yesterday I saw this and this. I was looking like it could get a short in the market here, and then I bring it into the day, the hourly. Now again, this hadn't happened, so let's get rid of all this. None of that. So we're looking at this area here. Now, I think my entry was off the back of maybe this bar here. But let me bring this into the different chart here, because this is really what it was down to. And the reason I ask you about this is because I know how important pivots play to you. So I saw this close under this daily pivot here, close under the weekly pivot here. And I think this might have been my entry bar here. So we got a little bit of downside, and my target was the monthly pivot. So if you'd seen this and you'd just been looking at what I was just looking at with the daily, what would have your take on that been?
Oh, look, exactly the same. But I think I said it before I can't remember the cross I was looking at. Can I just take my screen for a second? I'll explain to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've still got your. Can you see mine?
Yep.
Now back to you. Hang on 2 seconds. This is where it gets funny. Do you actually pass this over to me? Do you?
I do pass it to you. Yeah.
Right, and then I try and take it, and apparently it negates it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So here's that chart for me. This is the daily chart, right? And I've got a massive false break of not only the trend line, but the weekly pivot as well. So we've come back below the weekly pivot, back below the trend line. Yeah. We've actually closed below the monthly pivot, and then we've retested not only the monthly pivot, but the trend line and the daily pivot. So that's my entry there, right? But I totally get what you're seeing here in the daily chart, and I assume the smaller time frames are going to be exactly the same as what I'm seeing here in the last 2 days, and that is no close above the weekly pivot. So there's a definite lower high in play here. But remember, I said a little earlier, I don't like to see a quick response and then a lower high. I like to see price amble along and give me a genuine swing. And that's where I like to trade my lower highs short. To me, there's a definite reversal on here. I can absolutely see it on the daily chart. What time frame were you trading on, mate?
The time frame I entered on.
Yeah.
The hourly.
Oh no, were you analysing?
Well, I was analysing the daily and the hourly. The hourly was the entry chart, but the daily was the one that I was looking at for my signal.
All right, so I totally get the daily. So yeah. you were looking at
yes.
When did you trade it? The red bar or the green bar?
I was looking at the weakness in but I traded effectively yesterday.
Doesn't matter. They're both the same as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Nothing changes there. They're both. In fact, today's or yesterday's bar was absolutely putting a line underneath the day before's. But again, and here's exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I like to see. I like to see price amble its way up to here, then give me a nice swing at some stage. So on the smaller time frame, I can see this. I can see this, but I don't see a reversal bar forming. That would be my issue. That's the hourly. That's the 4 hourly chart. So on the hourly chart, maybe I do. So yesterday, we've come back to where we need to be. Nice swing here. I'm looking for an entry bar. I can't trade any one of these because I'm trading straight into the pivots. Then I get this swing here. Is that the bar you traded, that one?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So I can totally see that. I would be absolutely all over that myself. I think that's a good position to take. So yeah, you've done nothing that I wouldn't have done there. That's for sure. The one thing I probably would have done is taken profit.
Is you would have done what? Sorry.
I would have taken profit.
Right. Because so you saw that line.
Yeah, I don't know what that line is. I'll have to have a look at it. Maybe it's insignificant. No, it's not insignificant. It's significant. So, yeah, I would have taken profit there. That's the only thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So,
where would you put stops on there?
Oh, above the candle.
Okay, yeah. You see, I had my stop above the daily candle.
Okay, the daily candle. Sorry, the level on this is 9656, if you like. The daily bar is, if you're trading the red one, you wouldn't have been. You would have been trading this one, 9670 or something like that. So,
yeah. I just got taken out on. Looks like a couple of pips, and it's gone.
Yeah, by bugger all. Yeah, isn't that bloody? Don't you love that? That's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, now it's getting messy. That's the problem. And the pivots are very much in, and they're telling you, the pivots talk to me daily, and they're really telling me right now, because they're so close together, that price doesn't want to go too far away from them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing. So what I'd like to see is clear this noise. And I know it goes against your grain because you miss out on so many pips on the way down. But I still see the trade. The trade is here underneath this bar here. And probably stops above these. So I can totally get that. What cross is it again? Aussie CAD. Again, I've got to go back to oil and say, is this a great idea? And at the moment, the answer is no. Because if oil crashes, so will the CAD.
Yeah.
And I can't see Aussie CAD short at the moment. But I totally see the setup. Absolutely. And see, the difference in the way I trade small time frames is because I'm a chicken, I like to take, as soon as I get profit, I take it, and that's what I need to do because that keeps me comfortable. I've got risk off straight away, and that's that's what I like to do.
It's not that you're a chicken. You just that's the way you trade, isn't it? I mean, that's the way that
it's my comfort level. Yeah,
that's your comfort level. And everybody always says there's never a bad time to take profit, and I completely agree with that. And also because your strategy works that way, then
it works because of that.
It works because of that. Yeah. And gives you the higher ratios of percentage wins.
That's right. The win-loss ratio is greatly enhanced by that method. There's no two ways about it. The reward to risk is greatly reduced by it, and that's the trade-off we take as traders. Your high risk trades give you high rewards. Your low risk trades give you low rewards. It's a matter of what you're happy with. If you're getting 40% of trades that get you 10-to-1 winners, shit, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're getting
Absolutely.
80% of trades that give you 1-to-1, or not even 1-to-1, 0.5-to-1 even, you
Yeah,
need to maintain that high level of win-loss ratio to survive.
yeah,
So, it's a trade-off.
yeah.
And
Absolutely is.
I'm all for doing both ways, all
Yeah.
for it.
And it's an interesting trade-off, isn't it? Because I've entered trades on the FTSE and just held on to them. Even though they're losing positions, and I'll show you an example of one of them. But I had, and I think I've even been on the show when I've you've been on the show with me when I've entered these. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing worse. But I think I entered a FTSE trade here long. Yeah, I did actually on the gap. I managed to enter this FTSE
Yeah,
trade.
yeah,
I
I
did enter.
remember.
I
Yeah.
say managed. I trade that FTSE trade long, but what I also did was I entered it also long down here. So I held on to it. I didn't stop it. I did put a stop in, but it was an emergency stop rather than an absolute area. So I traded it long there, and it came down, 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 down. But what I did was I traded it long here as well. And as it came up, I took both trades off around about this level. So it ended up being a profitable trade over two trades. Um,
And a great
but
result, because
and a good.
you would have been very uncomfortable at some stage. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, mate.
Mm.
It was pretty uncomfortable. Yeah, it wasn't a nice it wasn't a
No,
nice period. But and actually I was in Singapore. It was last week I was trading this while I was like running IFP. I was trying to manage this thing as well.
no, and it was
But
hot as well, and you're sweating, and that's all you need.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't great. But I was but the point is that it was a profitable trade that I didn't even pick the right direction on. And it was really down to the money management. And I didn't particularly enjoy it, but there is something in it. There is something in trading that way. There's something in managing the money over the actual setup. And it's something that I do occasionally, and it's just a strategy that I occasionally do. I don't do it all the time. Sometimes I trade, purely technicals, but there's every now and again I will trade a money management strategy, and that's what it was. The issue with trading this way is that if you go long in this area, which is not beyond the realms of possibility, when you see that there's a level of support here, you go long in this area off this bar, and that happens in your holding, then you get caught in something that you really do not want to be caught in.
No, it's a very uncomfortable position.
Yeah,
I would be in Ward 6 at the mental hospital
yeah,
if I traded like that. But
yeah,
again, we're all different, and we have completely different personalities and profiles. You just need to do what you do. If it
yeah,
works, do it. That's all that
yeah,
counts.
yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
again, I think there's room for both points of view. There's nothing wrong with running two separate accounts. One that is your little cash cow, if you like, that just keeps ticking along and doesn't do anything spectacular. It just keeps ticking along. And then another one that gives you some very nice rewards. You just have to be a little bit patient for them, and as you say, manage your money.
Yeah, yeah. That's the only way to travel, I think.
Yeah, look, all for it. Absolutely all for it. I can't stand the pressure of, because I'm an old fart, as I say. I just, when I turned, I don't know, when I turned 55, I think it was, my ability to withstand pressure reduced commensurate with the age, I think. I used to
Yeah,
be a fairly bold guy, I used to be able to withstand a lot of pressure because I had high pressure jobs when I was younger. And I thrived on it, actually. I thought it was great, the adrenaline rush and all the rest of it. But as I got older, and I think, as I say, about the 55 mark was the time for me where I thought, oh my God, what is this stress that I'm feeling? I don't like this at all. I don't know what it is, mate. I think it's just, okay, you're running out of years, and do I really want to take risks here? Do I want to jump out of a plane again? Do I want to do this? Do I want to bungee jump? Do I want to, all of those sorts of risk things, they're
Yeah.
just not in my mind anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's part and parcel of it. I think, as you get to the tender age of 62, I really I'm not thinking about high risk stuff.
What's I mean, the interesting thing about this is that what ends up garnering the best results is the question with that, isn't it? Because if you think that
Yes, but if heart attack is one of them, then I'm
yeah,
not interested.
pointless.
But you're dead right. Exactly right. What works, and that's what we said before. What works
Yeah.
for you is the only method of trading that you should be considering, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if we think about taking less risk, does it actually end up making you more money? Has that ended up making you more money because you're just a bit more? Because really, trading. I don't like this term that trading should be boring. I don't believe that's the case. I mean, there's far too much information out there to analyze for it to be boring. I find it fascinating. I find it really interesting. I find the markets interesting. I find technical analysis interesting, fundamentals and politics. I find the whole thing fascinating. So I don't buy this this term that trading should be boring, but I do buy that it should be emotive. It should be the opposite to emotive, which I can't think right now what the word would be.
Comfort, calm.
Calm. Yeah, yeah. It should be calm. It should be disconnected from how you feel and how you think. To a degree, that's probably not quite right because you need an opinion. But it shouldn't. It should be calm. That's the best way to put it. It should be calm. You should be able to make a decision and see it through. Make a decision beforehand, plan it, and then see it through. So the question really comes down to, if you are in a better state when you are trading the way you're trading now, because it is calm, you can
Mm-hmm.
make choices and see it through. Does that end up making you more money anyway?
I don't know that there's a comparison because I've always traded this way. I've never traded with high risk stuff.
Right.
Since day dot, which is what, 12, 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
When I started and I first learned about charts, really technical analysis was the first thing that I did, and no system. There was no strategy involved.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of, okay, here's how you read a chart. Good luck. Give
Yeah.
me $7,000 or whatever it was, and away you go.
Yeah.
Didn't even get a strategy out of it. It's just, okay, here's resistance, here's support. You trade at support long, and you trade at resistance short.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I soon learned that there was a little bit more to it than that. And
Yeah.
but mind you, having said that, it is probably the basis of all things trading. Learning that particular aspect of a chart is very, very important, of course.
Oh, you're right, mate. I think it's everything, isn't it? Well, here's a chart. This
It
is where you
is.
trade it short. This is where you trade. Well, in fact, I break it down to three things. I think it's direction, no matter how you form that, whether you form it fundamentally, whether you form it technically, you've got to have direction bias, the directional bias. That's the first thing. The second thing is where you are going to trade in that direction. And the third thing is, what do you need to see to take the trade?
Yeah.
So you get more specific and more detailed as you go, effectively. So direction is an overall thing. You could take a trade anywhere if you've got a directional bias, and if you're right, you'll make money no matter where the chart goes in the first place. Which I suppose
in the first instance, that's exactly what I was doing. It was okay. There's a candle pattern at a specific point. Shit, away you go. Press the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, bugger. That didn't work. Oh, bugger. It didn't work again.
Yeah.
What's going on here? I wasn't told about this. I was supposed to be here in the next 10 minutes.
It's funny, isn't it? How different people have had different beginnings. Because I know the boss man, Paul.
He started out with a big winner. Yeah.
Yeah, he started just like he doubled his account and doubled. He said, I think he was about 70 grand up in about
Yeah.
I don't know how much, maybe a month or something.
Gee, this is
Yeah, and I suppose some of that comes down to the market. Are you in a market environment that, with the strategy that you've been taught, works? Because
look, without a doubt. If I turn the clock back, what, 7 years, 5, 6
yeah,
years even. Where are we? 2008 global. Oh shit, we're 10 years on from that. Wow.
yeah,
I've got to go back before that. Let's go back 11 years. Just leading up to the global financial crisis, actually, nothing could go wrong. It was absolutely walk up at in my time of day. It was around about this time, obviously, because the UK Open, and wouldn't trade the first candle, but the second. In fact, I'd trade the candle before. Interesting what you're talking about before with Brussels opening. There's often an opportunity in that first hour before UK session to make a bit of dough, and I didn't start doing that. I started trading the second 30-minute candle of UK session, and honestly, within two candles, if you weren't in the market and you weren't out of the market, having made a good amount of money, something was wrong.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
day in, day out. We're only trading 3 days a week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it was just unbelievable. Everything
yeah,
was honky dory, and nothing could go wrong because you were getting all of these lovely little breakouts of resistance and support, which would go to DR1 or DS1. Job over. Stop the trade, get out of there,
yeah,
go and do the next thing. And that
yeah,
was happening day in, day out, without fail. It was just amazing,
yeah,
and that changed. That absolutely changed. I'm not sure if it was in line with the global financial crisis. Maybe it was. I didn't trade trends, of course. So the global financial crisis was of really no help to me until the market settled down. But thereafter, I think if I'm absolutely honest with myself, and I guess I'd have to go back and have a look at the journals that don't exist to tell me uh, tell me how that did work and what effect it had. But my memory tells me that certainly the past 5 years, I won't say the last 10 years, I'll say the last 5 years, has certainly changed. The markets have definitely tightened, and there are far less opportunities to make bigger dollars than there were before.
yeah.
I think if I'm completely open with myself and you guys, I think it's got a whole lot to do with computers.
Yeah, do you know, I was about to say this is the conversation that we were having, wasn't it, about robots?
Yep.
Um, and I think I think what you touch on is absolutely correct. I think that with algorithmic trading, it means that levels play a greater part probably than even setups, and it does become a little bit difficult. But you see, because of that, my question then arises. Why don't we just trade a level, and how do we manage that level? Because if we think about this FTSE 100 for an example, um, if we are trading this level, let's just take today as an example. I'm going to take this one away. This level was the level that I put out already. It's a level with some closing highs, closing lows here, where it rallied. So you expect that support will become resistance. That's the rule. So if that's the rule, is there not a strategy that effectively algorithmic trading would follow most simply by just trading polarity? So a switch of polarity, and as
Mm-hmm.
the markets come up here, sure enough, it has refused it, pretty to the pip. It's refused it, and now it's started to go down again. So, is there not a case to be made that we just say, right, forget setups, just pick a level and trade the level?
Massive, absolutely massive. That's what I do day in, day out. I absolutely look at the chart and see if there's a range or there's not a range. And if there is a range, that's the best possible thing that could happen to me, because I can trade off the top and the bottom of that range.
Yeah.
Now, and whether that's, and many people think a range is only a horizontal level. It's far from the truth. You know, a channel is a range for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A flag is a range. Every time I see repetitive hits off the top and hits off the bottom, that's a range for me. So I can, as soon as that's established, I can start to trade it up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And, you know, the computers in many regard are my friend for that reason, because I've recognized that that's the case. Absolutely. Yeah. Support and resistance, the very first thing I learned, has now come back full circle, and I'm taking full advantage of knowing where those support and resistance areas are. And the pivots are absolutely gold in that regard. And so are horizontal levels, but so are trade lines, so are channels. You know, there's all sorts of reasons to be thinking.
So is the challenge? So if we say we see this area here, right, and that's a high that got rejected. Now, if I let's go with the closing price. If I say, right, get me back in short at this point, what happens here is that the market goes up beyond it, and then it goes short for a little while. So the challenge really then becomes what, and this is where we're at a disadvantage. I think where a computer would just go, right, just get you in. You know, some computers, not all our algorithmic trading is like that. But where a computer would just get you in on a horizontal level, where do we put our, you know, where's our safety net with a trade like this? That's the problem, isn't it? If we just trade levels, you know, because look how, and I'm not going to take any more than I've got. But this area here is, again, I mean, you didn't quite touch it, but it's so close. It comes down here and you're going to buy because it's broken through this level of resistance. You're going to buy. It comes down, boom. And when it comes back up to the previous level of resistance, you're going to sell. And it comes down a little bit. You don't take profit. Now that becomes the high. So when it comes down there, you buy and it's gone up again.
Yeah, look, I'm not using those horizontal levels as you are using the horizontal levels.
Yeah.
Because if the horizontal levels are repetitive over a certain period, and there are similar horizontal levels lower or higher than that, in other words, there's an established range, that's when I use it. If there's a range that may be a channel that coincides with that, or it doesn't even have to coincide with that, I need to see repetitiveness. And once I see that repetitiveness, be it horizontal, be it oblique, be it whatever it is, off pivots, etc., then as soon as I hit that level, the very first thing I then look for, and I say it every single day, the very next thing I look for is, if it's a resistance level, I'm going to look for a lower high. If it's a support level, I'm going to look for a higher low. And it really is that simple. And it can come on every time frame. That's exactly how I trade. There's no other way that I trade now. That's exactly how I trade.
Which is you know, a great way to do it, because if I then bring in you know, back to the FTSE 100 again, and we're going to talk about this level again, you know, this was this level that got broken down here, or even here, let's say this level here, because it's just a little bit more obvious. So we'd be looking for a lower high on a shorter term time frame. And when we
can
come
you go
in
back
here,
that previous chart?
Yeah, the daily. This one.
Was that one?
Before that.
Every time I talk, I see my chart. This is this crazy, stupid thing. So I'll shut up.
Hold on. That might be a way to fit. There might be a way to fix that.
That one's the one.
That's you. That's me, isn't it? There we go. Right. You talk again.
Okay.
That's it.
No.
Has that fixed it? You don't see your chart.
Now it's on mine.
It's on your chart.
Yeah, I want to see your chart, not my chart.
How's that?
I want to talk and still see your chart. Can you
do that?
No.
I thought no, that hasn't worked, has it? I'll tell you what. Yes, you can. Can you see my chart in a small box on the right-hand side, on your bottom right?
No, I see. Now I can.
Google Hangouts.
Only when I talk.
when you go to Google Hangouts, you've got two little boxes, which is you and me.
Yeah, yeah.
If you click on me, that should lock me in.
Ooh, that's it. Ah, got it done. Perfect.
Okay. So I guess this is probably this is our little roundup, right? So what we were looking at here, this was the daily. Did you want the hourly?
No, it was the daily. It was the daily I was
The
looking at.
daily. Yeah,
Yep.
this one.
So immediately what I see through there is if you were to draw, let's go with, I can't see the date. That's the bloody problem. You see the vertical line that you've got there, the vertical red line.
Yeah.
Come back to two swing highs.
Here?
No. There. That's it. Okay, so put a channel in from that high to the next high. Yep.
Yep.
That's a trend line. Okay,
yep.
let's imagine that the channel is on the other side of that, right? At the low, the previous low, you're there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we've got there is a range for me, okay?
Yeah.
When we hit the top, we look for a lower high. So,
yes.
So we've hit the top in the next swing high, right?
Up here, yeah.
Yep.
Oh no, here, yeah.
Well, there, yeah, there's fine.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a lower high. Now we got one after we broke that horizontal level, right?
Yes.
So that's a beautiful confluence for me.
Yeah.
Where we've got the reversal bar is the third bar of that pattern. The high test bar, right?
Yeah.
That's the trade.
This one here.
Yep.
Yes.
Now we've come to the bottom.
Yeah.
And we've come off the bottom. We haven't really.
Doesn't this become a higher low?
No, forget that.
Yeah.
No, forget that. What that's done, it's gone through the top of the range, and it's come back in. No, don't change it. Don't change it. It's come through the top of the range, and given us a false break, right?
Yes.
So as soon as we've come back inside that range, with that bar, we're looking for a lower high.
Yes.
Now, what chart are we on? A daily?
Daily,
chart, right? Well, then we go down to a 4-hour chart, an hour chart, or a 1-minute chart if you want. But as soon as you get that lower high, after you've got that re-entry, there's your trade every single time.
This one.
Yep, right in there.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that the challenge is when does this channel become available to us?
Oh, absolutely, and that can be on every time frame. As soon as I see equal highs, equal lows, or equal swings, or equal whatevers, I go down the time frames, and there's my channel, or there's my range, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You start with the daily
highs.
Yep, as in the horizontal level, right?
Oh, like here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can be a channel going horizontally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you see that, go down a couple of time frames, and you'll absolutely get your parameters, if you like, your extremes, and that's what you're looking for.
What's interesting about this one is that if we do start to shift it out a little bit, then actually we get probably a little bit more of a bounce there. I mean, it's difficult to, you wouldn't be able to do this at the time. But if we now take these highs, that gives us this area.
Yeah, it does. Yep. But guess what that is? That's going to be a false break of the original.
Yes. This one.
And that's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because guess what happens more often than not?
Again here. What happens more often than not is that we get back in the range.
and every break, not every break, but most breaks are not breaks at all. They're false breaks.
So yes, good point. So with this one, we're looking for the higher low, the lower high, sorry. And in this area, we're looking for a higher low somewhere around here, are we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's have a look at that then.
And if it doesn't come, you don't trade. But again, going back to what I said before, these higher lows and lower highs shouldn't come in a couple of bars. They should be nice swings. They shouldn't be
like this.
Yeah,
really interesting, mate. Really interesting.
You're gonna find, you will find them every single time. You'll find them. The false break is our friend. You know, it's our friend. It's not our enemy at all.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we are just about this is we're actually a bit over today, which is probably quite good, because if we were on an aggregate, I think we had a bit of time. Well, I think we might be worth picking this up again on Monday. I think trying to find
Monday, right?
Oh yes, Tuesday. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. So let's bring this one back up on Tuesday. And,
I'll show you some great examples of it. You know, it's
that'd be amazing.
Thing. Once
let's
see that, it's quite amazing.
Well, why don't we prepare for that on Tuesday, and on top of having those examples, how about we get some that are actually shaping up for the week as well.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. All right, mate. I will let you go. Have a great weekend, and I will speak to you on Tuesday. Enjoy whatever it is that you're doing on Monday.
Have a Christmas with family over the weekend and flying back on Monday.
It's that time of year, of course it is. Yeah, all right, mate. All right, brilliant. All right, buddy.
All right, take care and have a good one.
You too. See you soon, buddy. See you later.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.